Good day. This is Chuck Cameron, OCTV, and the program is My Life. Today, I'm sitting with Ed Hunwick, a fellow who I think could be a friend and who I've enjoyed speaking with a bit. Ed's involved in our OCTV world, but we're in his backyard and this is a lovely place to be. So we're going to introduce you to Ed and tell you some stories about his life, which is remarkable. We hope you'll stay tuned and we hope you'll enjoy this program on My Life. So Ed, thanks for being a part of our program today.
That's a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks. Give me 2 minutes, if you would, on what you're up to today. What are you doing now, and how is it that you and I got together today?
Well, what I'm doing now is I'm somewhat involved with the community. I'm on the Planning Commission.
Yep.
I'm the board chair of the OCTV board.
Yep.
And I keep myself active locally. I play a lot of golf with my wife, and I play softball during the summertime.
Excellent.
And I'm basically enjoying my grandchildren and my retirement.
Bravo. Sounds good. Well, that's a good spot to be. Let's go back. Let's take a look at what you became, how you came to be. Let's talk about your home life. What was it like at home? Where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about mom and dad.
Well, I grew up on the northeast side of Detroit.
Yep.
Attended Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
Mom was insistent on that.
Yep.
Grew up in the typical Detroit neighborhood. We had cookie cutter homes, one after another. I grew up in a 1,000-square-foot bungalow with
Yep.
4 siblings,
Yep.
1 bathroom. We grew up pretty normal. We didn't know any better. We didn't know that life could be better if you had more than 1 bathroom, but we didn't know that. So, as growing up, my mom pretty much ran the household,
Mm-hmm.
and Dad was working a lot. And like I said, I went to Catholic school, and my brother, who was just below me in age, him and I pretty much made my mom and dad's life pretty, I wouldn't say exciting, but we drove them crazy.
Yeah.
And
It's the first time I've ever heard that story, by the way. Most kids are just almost practically perfect.
Oh no, Sam and I, we weren't mischievous, at least
Yeah.
not intentionally.
Yeah.
It just seemed to fall into place like
Got
that.
it.
And I went to Catholic school. I hated about every minute of it because the nuns were brutal.
Mm-hmm.
This was in the 60s, so the nuns had no restrictions on how they dealt
Yeah.
out the corporal punishment, and they did.
There was firmness there.
A lot of firmness. But I came to think that there must have been a ultimate method to their madness. Maybe
Okay.
what percentage of all of us that attended school at that point in time actually turned out bad? You know, I think we were all too afraid to do anything
Yeah.
bad because of the repercussions.
Sure.
And if we got scolded at school and mom or dad found out about it, we got scolded at home.
Yep.
And
it.
but we, myself, I enjoyed my childhood. I would relive it again in a heartbeat if I could. You know,
Yep.
Ed, you want to be 10 years old again? Oh yeah, please.
Go for
I
it.
had a great time at
Go
being
for
at 10.
What was mom like and what was dad like?
Well, my dad was, I would say, somewhat passive. He was working a lot. He
Yep.
was a middle management employee. He was white collar. He never was a member of a union, but he worked a lot in order to provide for us. You know, like I said, he had 5 kids. And my mom was the one who we had to be fearful of.
Yep.
If Dad got upset with us and wanted to lay a hand on us, Mom had to give permission.
Got it.
If Mom wanted to lay a hand on us, she got permission from nobody. You know, and we used to have some very memorable moments when I was growing up. When I got to be old enough, my mom was only 5'1". She probably
Yeah.
weighed 105 pounds.
Yep.
So when I was about 12 or 13, at that point, if we ever drove her crazy, she would grab the first thing she could get her hands on, usually a yardstick, and she'd grab a hanger once in a while and pull it, and then she would come at. I used to grab her by the hands. We'd be like dancing in the living room. She would still look at me and she'd say, let go of me. And I said, what are you going to do if I let go of you? She said, I'm going to beat you.
Yes.
And I said, then I'm not letting go.
Yes.
So
That's it.
we used to have moments like that. I used to put my brother in front of me as
Yep.
a shield.
Right.
And she would say, you let your brother go so I can beat the hell out of you. And I'd say, no, I don't think so.
So the human shield strategy.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It did a lot. I remember in those days, the phones were on 20-foot cords.
Yep. The curly Q.
So Mom could walk around the house if she was on the phone with somebody, and she went after my brother and I. I mean, we really ticked her off, and I grabbed the phone, ran into the bathroom, shut the bathroom door. My brother and I were in the bathroom. We locked the door, and my mom's pounding on the door. She goes, you open this door? I said, no. I called my dad at work, and I said, Mom wants to kill us. He goes, what did you do? And I told him. He goes, well, you shouldn't have done that.
That's clever.
And he goes, I wouldn't do that in the future if I were you. And he goes, as far as you needing my support right now, I said, it ain't happening. He says, you're going to have to deal with it. He goes, open the door and take your punishment. I said, no. So we ended up sitting in there for a good while before we opened the door.
It simmered down.
Yeah, simmered down. But my mom, she harbored a lot of animosity if we didn't obey her, you know.
So the tuna here, if I may, is in school and at home. You had very clear rules and regs, and it was important that you know that what was expected of you was to follow them, to stay on the right side. Would you say that influenced how you think as you went through life?
Oh, I definitely. I always, growing up, I've always was told, and then, like you said, it was structured. You respected elder people.
Yep.
My dad insisted we open doors for women. You don't touch women. He used to get so upset with my sisters, he would beat one of his first sons that come by because he wouldn't touch his daughters, you know, but we would be the recipient of their punishment, you know. But respect women, respect other people's property.
Yeah.
You know, that was something that was, embroiled in us. You know, we kind of lived with that mentality. All my siblings, none of us have ever gotten into trouble.
Yeah.
But we're in a lot of trouble as children.
Sure.
But as we grew up, we understood what the ramifications were.
Yep. Got it.
But
You said there were 5 of you kids.
5.
Where are you in the order? And
Number 1.
How? So the responsible one.
Yeah, supposedly.
Yes. Where are the others, and how old are the others now?
We're all 2 years apart.
Good.
Yeah, we all know we have even year birthdays and odd year birthdays. We're all about 2 years apart. So I have a brother right below me, Sam, then a sister Grace, then a brother Jimmy, and then a sister Judy.
Got it. Excellent. Local or no?
We're all local. Everybody lives in. I'm from the east side originally,
Sure.
and everybody's all on the east side. Well, I shouldn't say that. My sister lives north of Lansing. My sister Grace, but the rest of my siblings are all on the east side.
East side family. Got it. All right. Early memories. Give me a couple of best early memories. Something you remember that you really enjoyed.
Enjoyed?
Enjoyed.
Let's see.
You can make something up because none of those people know.
Some people who are watching this probably will know.
They
but,
might.
Yeah, I know. Some of my best memories that I really enjoyed. I can remember as a very young child of 4, my dad taking me on a boat ride around Belle Isle.
Oh, yeah.
And he let me drive the boat. I can still remember me sitting on his lap and driving the boat.
Excellent. That's a good memory.
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, my memories of my mother dishing out punishment, as much as we hated it at the time, my brothers and I, we laugh at it today.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because, my mom wasn't very big.
Yep.
But she certainly, well, I'll give you an incident how Mom was. Like, my dad treasured his Oldsmobile, his 63 Olds, right, when we were kids. I mean, I think that was more important to him than his kids, but I don't know. I overheard him tell my mom he was going to the hardware store. Now, in Detroit, in that neighborhood at the time, and most of the neighbors in Detroit required, when those neighborhoods were developed, that hardwood trees be put in front of the homes.
Yep.
So in our neighborhood down the street, there was always elm trees
Yep.
all the way
Oh,
down.
yes.
And it was a beautiful setting, but these elm trees were very big at the time. So my dad tells my mom he's going to the hardware store. I tell my brother, let's jump in the back seat of Dad's car and we'll scare him, right? So he gets in the back seat. Dad goes down the street. We jump out, scream. My dad screams. Car ends up against one of these elm trees. And my brother and I were just horrified, like, oh my God, we can't believe this happened.
Yep.
And it's the first and only time in my life that I ever heard my dad drop an F-bomb.
Yeah.
He
Once.
was so upset.
Yep.
My brother and I jumped out of the car, and my dad's having his conniption. We took off and ran for home, right?
I'm sure.
So we get home, Mom's in the house doing mom stuff. You know, we get in the house, and she looks and she knows something's wrong. She goes, what happened? So we told her what happened. She turned her head so we couldn't see her because she was laughing.
Laughing, yes.
She was
I imagine
laughing.
so. Right.
So she sent us upstairs to our room. My dad walked in the house screaming, where are they? I want them. And she says, you can't have them. Calm down.
Yep.
It'll be all right.
It'll be all right.
Yeah.
Excellent. It calmed it down. Right. Well, we're going to take a break. It's a little rain here, but it's a lovely day. We'll get back to you pretty soon.
Yeah.
Stay with us. Well, as they say, we're back. I'm glad we're back. So let's figure out, you probably went to high school. I'm just guessing that.
I did.
Where'd you go and what did you enjoy doing there? And were there any things good stories?
Well, I begged my mother to let me out of Catholic school.
Okay.
I actually started briefly, very briefly, in Catholic high school.
Yep.
And I think my father's influence with the cost of Catholic education with 5 children was getting to be a little too much. So they let me go to public high school. I went to Denby in the east side of Detroit.
Right.
I was absolutely much happier being in public school than I was in Catholic school.
good.
But there was a lot of structure with the educational process in public school at that time, more so than I thought there would be coming from the Catholic environment. But I went to Denby. I played on the baseball team the entire time I was there. I got to pitch at Tiger Stadium twice.
Did you know? How
Yeah.
fun.
No pictures. I couldn't believe it. I asked my mom and dad, I said, why didn't you take a picture? She goes, we never even thought about it. In those days, you didn't have a camera on your phone. You didn't have a phone, you know. And to get a picture, you had to take it to the photo mat and get it developed and all that. And it was never, they just never thought about it. But so I don't have any pictures of myself on the mound at Tiger Stadium. But it's unfortunate for me because I always dreamed of being a major league ball player because I love baseball and I did pretty well with it in my youth. But I developed arm problems. I was a pitcher and I developed arm problems.
Yep.
I actually went to Wayne State with a scholarship offer,
Yeah.
but because I couldn't of my injury and I couldn't fulfill the scholarship, it was rescinded. So I went to Wayne State on my own right after high school.
I know that path, by the way.
Yeah.
Same school.
My parents really weren't in a financial position to help me with college. I started working for Chatham supermarkets for people who are 60 years of age or older that came from the Detroit area would probably know them. And I was making really good money for a junior and senior in high school. So when I graduated, I was able to put myself through college or Wayne State the first 2 years. As a matter of fact, I moved out of the house and moved into a duplex with a friend of mine, which totally upset my mother.
Yep.
She couldn't grasp the fact that one of her children was leaving the nest, and
My babies.
she would deliver care packages every week, and I would bring them back to her. I said, Mom, I can afford my own food. I used to bring them back. She would sit there and cry and tell me how I didn't appreciate her and how she labored with me for 40 hours and this and that. And I said, Mom, I said, you don't understand. I can do this on my own. I don't need your assistance. Take care of the other 4. So I went to Wayne State for 2 years. While working at Chatham's, I was put on a special project team that really sucked up a lot of my time. I was working 60, 70 hours a week. And I told them, I said, I can't do this anymore. I said, I want to go to school. And at that time, Chatham had a program with Western University where they did a cooperative thing.
Okay.
And they offered me that option if I wanted to hold back on college right now so I could continue to work on the special project, which they wanted to get done. So I thought, well, that's cool. I don't have to pay for it. They'll pay for it. So I left Wayne State. I continued to work at Chatham's, a ton of hours. And for some reason, it fell through the cracks, and then Chatham went into financial difficulty, and the program went away, and I never ended up at going to Western. I had my 2 years at Wayne State, and then I was trying to decide what I was going to do, and then I met my future bride.
How did you meet her?
At Chatham's.
At Chatham, got it.
She worked at Chatham's. She was supposed to go to Western too on the management program. She was a manager trainee. When we met in November of '79, and we were married in December or November of '80.
Got it.
So with it, less than 12 months after we met, we were married. And my oldest daughter thinks we had to get married, and we lied about her age, her birth certificate, and everything else. But she was born 2 years after we were married. She goes, "You guys don't do anything that's spontaneous. There's no way." I said, "You find the woman you want, and the woman finds the man she wants." I said, "It works."
There you go.
So it's been 43 years.
What's your wife's name?
Josie.
What's Josie like?
She's very independent. She's a strong-willed individual. She's got she puts her mind to something, it's going to get done. She's got very strong willpower. When I met her, she was a 2+ pack a day cigarette smoker. I never smoked in my life. She smoked 2+ pack a day. I never complained, other than dirty ashtrays around the house. But she smoked 2.5 packs. She quit when she was pregnant, but then she started right back up again. So after our youngest one was about 2 years old, and she decided it was difficult carrying her up the steps because she couldn't breathe, she decided to quit. And she quit cold turkey. And she went from 2.5 packs to nothing.
That's a big step.
Yeah, but she did it.
Yep.
And, in my job, after, especially when we moved out here, I was wearing a suit and tie every day to work. I had to entertain clients or customers or even attend a business meeting of some kind. And a lot of times it was done in a restaurant, and they were smoking in those restaurants. And I would come home and my suit would smell like, and she wanted it off into the basket for the cleaners. She couldn't stand the smell.
Yeah, bad memories.
Memories, whatever. She just couldn't stand it.
Yeah,
She always says to me, she goes, "How did you tolerate me smoking all that?" I said, you did it before we met. I didn't. Secondhand smoke never bothered me.
Yep. You said you had kids. How many?
2 girls.
And how old are they?
41 and 39.
Got it. What are their names?
Andrea is the oldest. Christina is my youngest.
Andrea and Christina. Got it. Are they like mom and dad, or are they not?
They're like mom and dad in some respects. Our oldest one, Andrea, who's an attorney, she's a JAG in the United States Air Force. Both my wife and I, throughout our married life, we've always been on the right side of the political spectrum.
Yeah.
Andrea is not on the right side of the political spectrum, and I always sit there and wonder how that happened, but I can't figure it out, so it is what it is. We love her just the same, and we enjoy our little combative discussions. It keeps our relationship healthy and strong, and it works.
Well, if you can discuss things upon which you don't agree and have it not ruin a relationship, that's a mark of maturity.
Oh, yeah, and my wife and I both wanted our daughters to be independent. you know,
Yeah.
the free thinkers
Sure.
to do what they want. Christina, she's more like her mom and dad in the way she thinks and the way she lives her life and such. And we're very appreciative of that. But like I said, we told them they have to be free thinkers, and we're very proud of both of them. They've both been very successful with their careers, and,
Excellent.
and we can't be more prouder.
Good. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about what happened from then on. And I think you mentioned the word grandkids back there somewhere. We'll talk a little bit about how that got here. But for now, stay with us. We got more to come. Thanks. So we're back. Thanks for coming back, by the way. We appreciate all of you who are doing that. So you've got two amazing daughters. You've got an amazing wife. We haven't talked much about where you and your bride ended up living when you started marriage. What were you doing at the time? Talk to us a little bit about the influences and the things that happened early in your married life. What was it like being a new married guy? What'd you do? What'd she do?
It was obviously a different change in our life. I don't remember how I thought about it going in. I know the day of our wedding, I drove around St. Clair Shores for 2 hours wondering what the heck why I was doing this, you know.
Help.
And I was sitting there thinking, am I doing the right thing? And I said, it was all, we got married on the day of the Michigan-Ohio State football game, and I'm going, well, I picked the wrong day for this too, you know, and so, but eventually I settled down, we got married, and my wife and I were both working at Chatham's at the time, and we were both making really good money.
Sure.
So much so that our first home, our starter home, was a brand new build. You know, we've been married for 43 years. This is our third home, and we've never lived in a previously built, previously owned home.
Got it.
And we were very fortunate in that regard. But we lived for 10 years in St. Clair Shores. My wife grew up there. And we had an incredible neighborhood. We had 4 other neighbors that lived right next to us that we are still great friends with today, and the kids are all good friends. A lot of the kids stood up for each other's weddings and such. But we had a great environment there, and so much so that when we were all trying to move on from our starter homes, we were trying to buy a parcel of land to form our own little community, our own little sub.
That's close. Wow.
But it just, two of the neighbors, Doug and Bob got transferred to Minnesota, and Doug got moved to Ann Arbor, and it didn't make sense to do it, so everybody kind of moved in different directions. We were in the process of talking with a builder on the east side to build a home around the 22-mile and Romeo Plank area.
A lot of folks going north at that time.
Right. Josie's cousin owned all this property here,
Okay.
and he got into a partnership with a builder to develop it.
Got it.
So when Josie's aunt got wind of the fact that we were planning on moving, she told us about her son Anthony's development going on here. I said, where is Oxford? I'd never heard of it.
Where is
before.
Oxford?
And
We get a lot of that.
but I always wanted to get away from the houses right next to each other environment. I wanted to get some space and spread out. So when we came out here and looked at the property, I said, I'm sold. I said, I love it. My wife says, there's no way. We're not coming out here. She goes, we don't know anybody out here. She goes, our family's all on the east side. We're not coming out here.
The lure of the lake life and close communities is a strong pull.
We
isn't
weren't
it?
on the lake, even when we were married. We weren't that far from the lake,
Yeah.
but we weren't on the lake. But our family was there. You know, if we wanted to go see my parents, it was a 5-10 minute ride. We wanted to see her mom, because her dad had passed away a long time ago. If we wanted to go see her mom, it was a 5-minute ride. You know, now we're talking an hour and 5 minutes, right? So she had wanted nothing to do with it. So we came out and looked, and they were giving us a really good deal. So we were the first ones in here.
Got it.
So
Now,
talking to
let's-
my wife, and it was another story.
Let's take a minute. This is the Great Pines subdivision, right?
Yes.
And for those who are watching, who maybe have driven by that sign for a lot of years, like I did, I told you, what is Great Pines, and why is it such an interesting but hidden away gem?
Well, it's a former Christmas tree farm.
Is it so?
From the story that the Anthony, who the owner told me, was in the late 30s when the Depression was going on, the government had those work programs.
WPA?
One of the programs was to hire people to plant Christmas trees in here and wait to cultivate them and sell them and hopefully generate enough money to help the program or whatever.
Sure.
Well, they got planted in 1938 or 39. Well, they take about 6 or 7 years. Well, we know what happened in a few years after that. World War II broke out, and all those government programs went by the wayside, and these trees just grew. You know, they never got cut down.
Yep.
So when we came in and looked at the property, the pine trees were lined up in even rows. You know, they were too close, but they were a lot of mix of. It's just the trees and the uneven terrain and such. I fell in love with it just because I felt like I was up north, and I wasn't up north. My wife didn't like it only because it was too far from where we grew up and where family was. So my wife gave, you know, Anthony said, stay 2 years and then sell the house and go back to the east side. Give me 2 years. So I said, Anthony, I am sold. You got to talk to your cousin. That I'm ready. So she agreed to stay the 2 years. The day we moved, she goes, 2 years. I said, yeah, I get it, 2 years.
Tick, 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 tick.
Yeah, that was 33 years ago.
33 years ago.
Yeah.
So she apparently gave in and
Well,
found
she
this to
tells
be
people
pretty
as
nice.
much as she hated to come out here, she says this was the best decision we ever made.
Ah, how wonderful to hear.
Yeah, she says, because I am so happy we stayed out here. You know, I felt bad for our kids, because when I would come home from work in St. Clair Shores, on my front yard, there was my 2 daughters and 8 or 10 of their friends on the front yard. When we moved in here, we're the only house. There was no friends to be had, and they were 8 and 6 at the time.
It's big years.
And I felt terrible for them. But they adapted quickly. You know, we had to drive them to a lot of places when we got settled in here and they started making friends. It put a lot of stress on my wife and I for a while, but we managed through it, and we look back and it really wasn't that bad. And a lot of the friends that they made, we became friends with their parents.
Nice. Well, things circle around, don't they?
Oh yeah. This was a great community to move to.
So, this is kind of the end of episode 1 of Ed Hunwick's Amazing Life. We hope you'll stay tuned. We'll be back next time for episode 2, when I believe there might be more to hear, right? All right. So until then, the program is My Life. Chuck Cameron is me, and we thank you for watching. See you soon.